JudoPsycho's back. Got a little, a little bit of a different video today. It's touching. Apparently, this is going to touch more on what or how autism is. And I just want to see this take. And this girl right here, Stephanie Bethany. I've not seen this video, so I don't know what to expect, what she's gonna say, but I guess we're just gonna have to find out. Without further ado.
Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I'm autistic. Clearly, I can speak to you in this video, but during World Autism Awareness/Acceptance Week, I want to bring your attention to the many autistic people who cannot. One paper states that about 25% to 30% of autistic children are unable to use verbal language to communicate or are minimally verbal, that is, using less than 30 words. Other sources estimate that 40% of autistic people are considered non-speaking. That's a huge part of our community that I don't feel often gets very represented during things like World things like World Autism Awareness/Acceptance Week, especially here on the internet. For search purposes, I've titled this severe or nonverbal autism. However, something I think that you should know is that autistic people who have been able to access communication other than speech have expressed that they prefer non-speaking rather than nonverbal. Nonverbal means without words. When you hear the word nonverbal, you have an immediate innate reaction of lowering your expectations and your view of the person in question. It's just something we've learned as a society. Having no words implies that the person has nothing to communicate or has nothing inside. This community of autistic people are non-speaking, not non-thinking. Additionally, when someone thinks of severe autism, they tend to think of someone who doesn't speak, who likely has a co-occurring intellectual disability, and requires having someone with them all of the time. These are the autistic people that the public may think of when they think of autistic people.
See, here's the thing. There's plenty of autistic people that are pretty intelligent. Pretty intelligent. Definitely not thinking of me. Plenty of autistic people that have gotten through to fame and fortune. There's plenty of autistic, intelligent people out there. I get what she's saying, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
And our online community of autistic advocates often avoids talking about. We've been trained to believe that non-speaking, so-called severely autistic people are somehow less human, a problem we shouldn't talk about, or an issue left solely to the autism parents who often get ridiculed by the autistic community online. We've been trained to believe that all autistic non-speakers are severely intellectually disabled, with no understanding of the outside world. This is because
The more quiet you are, the more susceptible, the more aware, I guess, you are of your surroundings. That's how I'd like to think of it. Sometimes silence is stronger than communication. It's a gift and a curse.
Because of a bit of an unreliable thing called IQ scores. Verywell Health sheds some light on reasons why IQ tests simply are not appropriate for use with non-speaking people. It's recently become clear that typical IQ tests are poor tools for measuring intellectual ability in children with autism, particularly when those children are nonverbal. The reasons for this are IQ tests, for the most part, depend upon the test taker's ability to quickly understand and respond to verbal information. Nonverbal children with autism have challenges in those areas which may or may not have any connection to basic intelligence. Most IQ tests require an ability to understand and respond to social norms and expectations, and to respond within a specific period of time. These expectations are very challenging to kids with autism, whether verbal or not. Sensory issues that don't cause issues for typical children may distract children with autism. Nonverbal children with autism don't have the ability to let testers know about such issues. Testers are rarely trained to work with, engage with, or read children with special needs, especially children who are nonverbal. If they can't engage the child, it is very unlikely that the child will present their highest level of ability. Even with co-occurring intellectual developmental disability, that doesn't mean that there's not anything there inside an autistic person or someone with IDD.
Yeah, it really does get misinterpreted a lot. And it's pretty sad that there's this whole conditioning that just because this person's autistic, you know what that means. He's not capable of emotion. He's a fucking robot. I beg to differ on that. I beg to differ. I mean, okay, I'll say this. Sometimes it's hard for me to show emotion. That doesn't mean I don't have any. It's just hard for me to show emotion sometimes. I don't know. And it's not just a man thing where we can't show our emotions. And it just comes in my experience, particularly it's hard for me to even show emotion sometimes because of people doing me wrong in the past. Well, not only that, just maybe oversharing tended to turn people off, especially people that were close to me previously. But again, that's all I'm going to say about that.
These are deep-rooted ideas that make us assume that an IQ score can somehow determine someone's value or worth. Many autistic people who are speaking and don't need as much support might fall in the opposite type of pitfall, imagining that non-speakers are just like them, just mute. However, non-speakers face a lot of difficulties that go beyond what many autistic people with lower support needs experience. I think the autistic community has worked so hard to try to let the world know that autism can look different in different people, that they have accidentally began...
That's the thing about autism. It's different in each individual. It's a neurological disorder, is basically what autism is. Not everybody's going to be the same way. There's probably going to even be one person that's going to be random as fuck. Off the wall. Then you're going to have somebody like me that's going to be a little bit quiet. It's going to be keep it to itself, kind of reserved, but I like to think try to be a little bit self-aware too, just knowing when to turn it on, knowing when to turn it off. I don't know.
To completely silence the voices of those who cannot speak. They've erased the very people who need advocates on their side the most. Non-speakers tend to have apraxia of speech or apraxia or dyspraxia in general. What this means is that their brain's motor commands aren't working the way that they're supposed to. In other words, something you might hear often is that there is a brain-body disconnect. This results in the inability to speak or only be able to speak.
I've heard a little bit about dyspraxia just from one or two people that have it. I thought it was like a medical condition. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know. let me know. I definitely don't know everything. But yeah, there's definitely like motor issues there. There's definitely motor issues. Because sometimes I don't even know what to say. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have paranoia. And that feeling that people just tend to stay away from me on purpose because I come off like don't bother me or something like that, which is kind of definitely the opposite of my intentions. Now, there's gonna be times where I might come off that way, but I don't actually. Yeah, see, it happens. Yeah.
A few words, saying words that sometimes someone means and sometimes they don't, saying things that don't make any sense, indicating wrong answers on assessments, etc. This has been a huge barrier for non-speakers because we rely on what we see from a person to be able to understand them. For many non-speakers, their outside actions and facial expressions don't necessarily reflect what's on the inside. This is also true of some autistic people who do speak. Many non-speakers have been able to use sign language, picture exchange, and tablet-based programs. Some use typing and writing, especially if they have apraxia of speech, but have the finer motor control necessary for things like using a pencil or a pen. However, there are others who have not been able to succeed with these methods. This has led to something called letterboard and a method of using spelling out words to communicate, which takes the requirement out of the fine motor, which people with apraxia or dyspraxia have difficulty with, and putting it back into the gross motor to begin with. Because this video is intended for World Acceptance or Awareness Week, I will try to keep this video short and not go too in-depth in these things, but I will be linking some resources for you in the description box. Thanks to various methods, non-speakers now have access to communication. Learning directly from non-speakers is the best way to understand the needs of such a large portion of the autistic community. To do so, I'm going to suggest you check out a couple of organizations. One is Communication First, whose mission is to protect and advance the rights, autonomy, opportunity, and dignity of people with speech-related disabilities through public engagement, policy and practice change, and systemic advocacy. Many amazing non-speaking advocates work with this organization. Another is IASC, the International Association for Spelling as Communication. This is a fantastic resource for learning from non-speakers, as well as potentially getting access to communication for non-speakers, autistic or not, who have not been successful with other communication options. If you know someone who is in need of access to communication but does not have the funds, the National Autism Association has the Give a Voice program, which I will link to in the description box. There are also many non-speaking autistic advocates that you should check out, including the following: Ben B, who you can find on Facebook as Ben B, My Own Words, Reflections of a Non-Speaking Autistic. Ido Kedar, author of the books Ido in Autism Land and In Two Worlds, and who can be found at idoinautismland.com. Jordan Zimmerman, who is featured in the 2021 film This Is Not About Me, and who can be found at jordanzimmerman.com. And Gregory Tino, who also makes videos on YouTube, and who can be found on YouTube as Gregory C. Tino. These are just a few of the amazing non-speaking autistic people that you should check out. I have links to them and others in the description box, so be sure to check out all of those below. Thank you for being willing to learn more about non-speakers this week. If you're enjoying these videos and enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in learning more about autism from me, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who supports me here on YouTube.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, that video was geared more towards the nonverbal autistic people, which is cool. I think I mentioned in the last video, the autism video, the main one, that I had a cousin that was nonverbally autistic. It's a thing, guys. It's definitely a thing. But hey, I'm just not gonna lie. I'm glad that we have more resources than we used to like 20 years ago and more. I mean, we're freaking people too, man. We're, we're definitely humans as well. Yeah, there might be times where we don't show a lot of emotion. However, the exterior does not tell all. But if you liked the video, leave a like. Dislike. If you dislike this video, put that shit. Don't be afraid to show your true colors on this channel. Leave a comment if you want to. Does not matter to me. But with that, the anti-hero psycho is over and out. So long, folks. Booyah.